Everything's original in here, except the seats weren't in here when they were flying this combat. This is just for carrying passengers. Machine guns are 250 caliber machine guns. They're staggered on the D models. On the earlier models, the guns were straight across from each other, and the gunners were running into each other. So they've learned through their mistakes. They staggered the guns a little bit. As we go forward, the ball turret is here. It's the only workable ball turret of any of the 17s flying right now.
What's the ball turret?
Ball turret is the guy gets in this thing, and it'll rotate around. It's got a 250 caliber machine guns in it, and he's pretty much shooting the gun between his legs. He's got his knees up in his chest, so it's not a very comfortable position. He can't have his parachute on while he's in there. So if they'd have to bail out, he would have to come out of the turret and strap his parachute on, which was quite a job back in that time because they had all the heavy equipment on. Each gun had an electrical outlet by it. It's 110 volt. They plug their suits into for high altitude. If it was 40 below outside, it was 40 below inside this thing. There was no plexiglass at all on the sides of real combat airplanes.
So what did that mean in terms of
It's just all the air as it will come in. You know, when it's cold outside, if it's 40 below outside, it's 40 below in here.
So even though there's plexiglass here, that was not the case back then?
No, that's right. There's no insulation in the aircraft at all. Each station, like I say, has got your oxygen hookup. It's got an intercom system to the cockpit where you can talk to the pilot, co-pilot, and a plugged-in for his suit. This radio operator also had a gun that slid out on his rail. It's a 150 caliber machine gun. Each crew member could do 2 or 3 jobs on the airplane in case one got shot up. There was another one that could fulfill his mission on the airplane.
So in this, this is not covered by plexiglass.
No, it's not. It's open.
They could actually shoot out at other aircrafts from here.
Shoot out. The gun, like I say, slid out on the rail. It was the only single gun in this part of the aircraft. There was 2 single guns on each side of the nose, but that was for the navigator to operate. The bombardier could operate the guns in the front of that little steering wheel. He could activate the gun in. These 2 seats here were just here for those 2 waist gunners.
These 2 right here?
Yeah, they were for these 2 waist gunners right here. It's for a place for them to sit during takeoff and landing.
And then fire.
Right, yeah.
And then fire.
Right, they could fire from these 2 guns back here. These bombs were pickled by the bombardier was sat in the front of the airplane. You were up there during flight. The front seat was his, okay? The navigator seat was the seat on the left-hand side of the airplane.
This one?
No, the one down in the nose.
Oh, in those. Yeah. Who sat here? Just the pilot,
the
co-pilot?
Well, actually, this pilot, co-pilot here, the flight engineer sat in a capsule. This is not original equipment, but the capsule was down to about here, and he could rotate around in the capsule, and he fired the 2 machine guns that was in the top capsule.
That if you were a bomber sitting down below there, down there, were you in a very vulnerable spot?
Sure, yeah, you were. Actually, there's not a safe place on this airplane.
Is this a safe flight? I mean, for back then, was this considered safe?
Not really.
This was not considered safe back then.
You're taking your life in your own hands every time you go up. Somebody's trying to kill you every time you go up in this thing. I mean, you got to figure these kids are 18, 19, 20 years old, and they're getting shot at. They know they're going to get shot at every time they go up and fly. Now, that's enough to scare anybody. These airplanes, there was 8,000 of these things lost in Europe. There was 12,000 of them built. The rest of them were in, there was a few in the Pacific, but not as many as in the European theater. Typically, they flew, this is a high-altitude bomber. back then it flew typically 25 to 30,000 feet. They bombed at about 25,000 feet. And
So what we were experiencing was just a small lick of what they experienced.
Sure, yeah. This was just a 15-minute flight around the patch is all this was.
How long were their flights?
5, 6, 7 hours.
Wow.